This morning. I'm focusing on what Mr. President had to say while addressing Nigerians yesterday at the 53rd anniversary speech, where he talked about the convocation of a national conference. With Victor and I in the studio this morning is one Nigerian who have been a strong advocate of this conference from time immemorial, Mr. Tony Nadi, who is the convener Movement for New Nigeria and also the Secretary General for Lower Niger Congress. Thank you, sir, for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nadi. You have severally spoken about the convocation of a conference to discuss some of the most burning issues in Nigeria today, and how the decision of the president to raise an advisory committee to set out the modalities and procedures for a national conference. How did that news get to you?
Well, with a measure of relief, I must say, though I consider it a marginal improvement from what the situation demands. You know, a marginal improvement in the sense that all this while they had insisted that sovereignty now vests with the government to decide for us on all kinds of things. And our position had been that if they go to section 14, subsection 2A of the Constitution of Federal Republic, which they are using to manage Nigeria today, they will see the basis of all the arguments that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government, through this Constitution, there's no other way. They know that that is the truth. Yet, Absalom Abubakar and a chain of other military presidents since 1966 took it upon themselves to usurp the sovereignty of the people and impose the constitution exclusive, to the people. That is to say, they became the sovereigns by stepping into the, almost as if stepping into the shoes of Britain that had governed us for almost 70, 80 years up to that point, to impose a constitution that starts with the preamble, we the people. That is a forgery. That's a sick.
Okay, let me get you correctly now, Mr. Nadi. So you say that
so
this is not necessarily a solution to what we have.
The discussion we are asking for is that originating discussion amongst the ethnic nationalities that the British locked in here and called Nigeria. From that time in 1914 to now, it had not been their decision to be together, and the terms of that decision, of that being together, had always been imposed.
Let's ask you this question, yes, because it's coming at a time where everyone is saying, yes, it is very timely to have a national dialogue.
Yes.
For some people, it's
yes,
not really whether it's sovereign or not that is the issue. The issue is we have got things to talk about, and there comes a time, thank goodness, a president
yes,
is talking about it. Some would describe you as a pessimist. Isn't it too early to predict that this might not lead to the outcome we all desire as a people?
I was looking at the terms of reference. The first one must commend the statesman in Mr. President in taking this kind of a decision at this time in the midst of all the noise against it. And I was saying that it's not yet to hurry, not near where we will just come to the point where let's hope that this advisory committee, because many of the people on the list are people who have been in and out of the process we had embarked upon for over 15 years, to let Nigerians know that our situation is exactly like the situation of South Africa under apartheid constitution. What we're talking about is that all of what we're lamenting about, if you want to know what we want discussed, for which reason we are saying we have not even started, that preamble to the constitution that says we the people have decided to live here according to this constitution is saying that the Ijaw people have decided to submit their land and their people into a Nigeria. And the terms of that submission is what the constitution is supposed to be discussing. And what we're simply saying is that what happened to the closest example from where everybody can copy, so that we don't get lost in the forest, so that we don't set up a fight that can be avoided.
Okay, now when you talk about the people,
okay, I've spent 15 years of my short life to look into all the departments of we've been going all over the place, digging into the archives. I have here the documents of Lugard by which we were chained into this bad arrangement. We have all the documents they've been trying to hide from us, and we're going to expose it to our people. We already had some advertorials running since last week. and more will come in terms of bulletins. We're saying that we have a situation in our hand that is exactly like the apartheid constitution of South Africa, in which a minority imposed a constitution on the owners of the land, on the majority, and became the new owners of the land for the way to 1990. And what Mandela and co, they had a parliament. Why was apartheid constitution changed by anything of the parliament? The government of Frederick de Klerk in 1990 came to the point where, having been resisted on the street enough, announced that the apartheid constitution of South Africa will have to be changed, and that a discussion that will bring a totally new constitution will have to hold.
This is what you want Nigeria to do.
This is the only thing, that's not what I want. This is the only thing that can solve the kind of problem we have.
That is,
and if they do not do that,
question.
If they do not do that, they will be leaving the ethnic nationalities with no option but to exit the union on their own terms.
Now, the question I want to ask you,
yes.
If, for instance, now,
yes.
I have reactions from Alhaji Tanko Yakasai,
yes.
Who leads the Nigerian National Summit Group, NNSG,
yes.
saying that this could be Nigeria's last chance.
Yes.
Beginning now, the present, that Nigerians, if Nigerians fail to present and pursue common good positions, yes. beginning now, but rather delight ourselves in our often vain and bitter debates as to whether or not the National Conference should hold, we'll still have none other to blame when they transform Nigeria, restructured through candid national dialogue shall emerge, without our people having been best represented by the fractiously selfish political class. And that is his reaction. I also have the reaction of the Ohaneze Ndigbo. Yes. Are you saying that even the Afenifere that says President Jonathan should be commended, are you saying, don't you think it's too early for you to disregard these efforts?
No, I'm
not. In as much as the president said, the advisory committee is to set modalities. Yes. He hasn't even mentioned the nomenclature of this dialogue.
I agree.
But he has said that, look, Nigerians would expect that people like you and others who have been in the struggle, yes. who have been asking for the national conference, yes. would at this point close ranks and see how you can, work this out. So don't you think that it's too premature to disregard whatever is being done right now?
Let us use this precious opportunity to explain to our people all over the country what the dialogue should be all about. Our quarrel, if you go to the terms of reference, item 6, as I was looking at it this morning, the item 6 on the thing says all of what there was. If you read it out, it may fit into just read it out, please.
To advise government on legal procedures and options for integrating decisions and outcomes of the National Dialogue Conference into the Constitution and laws of the nation.
That thing, what you just read now, defeats the entire essence of calling any conference, and it tallies with what David Mark was telling us the other day, that the conference will hold, but that nobody is going to discuss whether we live together or not live together. And that is the only question 75% of the country wants answered, uninhibited.
No, this 75%.
Let me tell you how I arrived at 75%.
How did you arrive at it?
Tambuwal, Speaker of your House of Representatives, said that all of the politicians...
Our House of Representatives.
As long as this is the basis of Nigeria, I tell you that more than 3/4 of the people trapped here do not want to have anything to do with that country. If you take a referendum today, that is what you will find. The only people who insist we must keep it, including some people I see on this list. You saw Mabeza and his patriot, how they are talking about Nigerianism. That is, they do not imagine that it is possible for anybody to say he will not be in Nigeria. They say nobody has a right to suggest that there will be no Nigeria. Whereas, unless we go to agree on the basis of submitting our lands into a new union, the fraud that Lugard put in place in 1914, and we have evidence of it, has come to an end. It expired naturally full 100 years. The current fraud of 1999, in which Absalom Abaka and his confederates in the PRC made a constitution and lied that we the people made it, renders this entire document.
Okay,
so
Mr. Nadi,
we are sitting on a
tell us how
Nigeria
you plan to achieve what you are saying. Okay. Tell us how you plan to achieve what you are saying. Because what you are asking, hold on one minute, is that this constitution should not be. And you expect that a total overhaul. Let me finish. You want a total overhaul of this constitution, and you liken it to the South African apartheid. Okay, tell us the process to get into what you are saying, because the president also, do not forget, assumed office, or all the people you expect to do something about it, assumed office based on this document. So what is your practical step to getting this done?
South Africa in 1990 came to this bus stop where we have just arrived. The sitting government that was elected, and there was a parliament, Frederick de Klerk, he now, for the first time up to that time, accepted that the apartheid constitution could no longer be the basis of the South African society, because it was imposed by a white minority to take the lands and the rights of the blacks, and that is exactly what we have here. The Ijaw lost their land and their oil and gas to Nigeria because some military president under Gowon seized it by decree. The Lagos port belonged to Lagos people. Nigeria takes more than 2 trillion naira from this port every year, but from independence to date, not one controller general of custom of Yoruba origin. And therefore, if Gani Adams now says, how did we come to this? And he pick up arms, the discussion that should be holding is one in which the government of the day will have to accept that this apartheid constitution can no longer be the basis of Nigeria. We are not anarchists. In the suit we filed in 2007 against the constitution, we asked the court to give an order that will compel them within a period of 18 months to remain in office and work out that discussion that will lead to a new constitution. That's not too much to ask for, because South Africa did it. They accepted that the apartheid constitution had to go, and they called everybody.
Now, let me relying on them to work out a new constitution.
No, they are not saying so. In that terms of reference, they say how to incorporate whatever.
No, I'm asking you how you intend to arrive at a new constitution.
How it will arrive at is that the people, those who are trapped here, before going to make a central constitution, because a federation should have a federation of many constitutions. Up to 1966, we had 5 constitutions, because each of the federating units were like countries of their own that were now coming to cooperate, like Germany and France and Portugal doing European Union. That was the kind of constitution Awolowo had to manage Western region. That was the kind of constitution Obara had to manage Eastern region. But some people woke up in 1966, threw all of those things away, and now locked us into this unitary arrangement. So we're saying that the first step is to ask those who will come, because tomorrow morning they will now begin to announce the names of their friends who are going to meet. We are not going to pay any attention to whatever government does. The conference is already on, and steps are being taken to take a referendum from those who are working their way out of this union, because the union has collapsed. If we do not accept in good time that it has collapsed and go to sit down to discuss how we will revive it, I tell you that under the instruments available to those who are choked here, and 3.5 million people have been killed in eastern Nigeria on this same question. OD have been wiped out, Okerenkoko have been wiped out, Obakere have been wiped out. All kinds of things are going on. Just the other day, 78 students were massacred in their sleep, because some people must be in power in Nigeria. They say they will make the country ungovernable, and they are making it ungovernable to date. And we are still thinking that there's a Nigeria. That Nigeria that will include a Sharia belt, in which I cannot function in Sokoto or Kano or Meduguri. I will not be part of that Nigeria. I will rather invest all my energy in how to take out my portion. If those who are saying they have conquered us and they are going to keep us by all means for all times insist that we cannot discuss, then we do whatever comes within our reach to do to take our portion.
Now, let me ask you, Mr. Nadi,
yes.
if at the end of the day we are having reactions from Afenifere, for instance, we are having reactions from Ohanes and Igbo, we are having reactions from Arewa Consultative Forum.
We've been with all of them.
How be it speaking, saying that they do not, they will not agree for the name sovereign to be added to whatever conference. Now, let me ask you, would you say that these groups do not represent the blocks which they say they represent?
They do not speak for the people.
And if you do not agree with their representation, who are the people that you are talking to at this, at this point about
back to 75%? Tambuwal said that all of them politicians constitute only 25%. He said it on the floor of National Assembly the day they resumed last week or so, that they constitute only 25% of the country's population. I'm here to speak on behalf of that unrepresented.
And the ROI is not speaking for anybody. The Afenifere is not speaking for these people.
They all have vested interests. They all have things they share with people in government. What we're saying is that let us accept that Nigeria was not our making in 1914. Let us accept that the little discussion we had all the way to 1960 got toppled in 1966. Let us then accept that the product of that toppling, which is the current constitution, because from 1966 to date, all the 36 states that were created, who created them? Now they call me Abia State or Imo State or somebody else, Bayelsa State. None of the people in those places, like Delta State, cannot, the people of Delta in some areas were agitating for some autonomy. You now create a state and put the capital in Asaba. From that time to date, Delta State had not been the project of Ijo, Urobo, Ishekiri, and all of
Mr.
them.
Nadi,
saying that,
would you not rather wait? Let's just see through this process. No, because you have acknowledged that this is actually an act of statesmanship by Mr. President.
I commend him.
I commend him. At least to have you, to prove you right or wrong. Is it not a bit too early?
I was actually expecting to see your name in that list.
Of course, they know they will not put my name on any list of people who are going to be discussing, who are going to a meeting in which Nigeria is held sacrosanct, in which somebody will write in the terms of reference that the outcome of the conference will be integrated into a constitution, meaning that they want to preserve that constitution by all means. And we are saying we will not touch one alphabet from inside this constitution. So these are the two grounds, these are the two positions that will have to be married through the next few days.
But in the event that this conference is convoked,
yes,
in the event that the different nationalities meet and do discourse,
yes,
would you now throw away all of that? Because your view can be seen as extreme. It is either this, it is either all or nothing. Do you think that
there's no halfway? There's no halfway in a matter of reconstruction. If you want to put a 40-story structure on this ground now, you know it will take it. But the first thing that will happen is that bulldozer has to enter here to level it, to be able to put up a new structure. Anything that is built on this foundation of falsehood, and if you let us take it down to our people, in saying that we the people, we're saying that we have submitted by ourselves. So it's a forged signature by which Nigeria is selling 3 million barrels of crude oil every day and sharing the money, $250 million every single day in Abuja, to the exclusion of the owners. If you come to the provisions inside the Constitution, you then begin to see a chapter 2 that provides for all the good things of life, but a clause in section 6C, and shame on the lawyers in Nigeria, including the justices up to the Supreme Court, that will hold this document up and say it's a constitution. Because those who wrote it had taken all of the content of the Treasury as their own by that provision, to say that nothing is for the citizen except as they deem fit. That is the unjust.
Mr. Nadi, before we let you go on this segment, like Victor asked, and yes, it's the heart of the matter.
The thing to do is to allow the ethnic nationalities
and have this discussion without what you are saying, and this scales through.
If somebody,
what does that make you?
Abacha held a conference, but Obasanjo held a conference. What happened to them? Because somebody sat in Abuja, like David Mark is sitting, to tell us that it is how they do it that we have to accept. What we're saying is that they must accept that sovereignty belongs to the people and let them organize themselves and send those who they will truly wish to discuss their future for them in a conference that will end in a referendum.
Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
We have been speaking to Mr. Tony Nadi, who is the Secretary General of the Lower Niger Congress and the convener Movement for New Nigeria. Thank you once again for joining us.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back. The rest of the show continues shortly. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Now our next interview is one...
for Biafra.
Proved barbaric yesterday.
Civil war. I was given a briefing that certainly had its origins in the Foreign Office, which was to the effect that a sort of rather dissident band of renegades in the eastern Nigeria were trying to head a secession of eastern Nigeria from the main federation, that they had no support from the local people. They were led by a rather weird colonel, and that the Nigerian army, with its magnificent British training, would wrap the whole thing up in 10 days.
There were two wars fought in Nigeria. The one was the military war. The second...
And they tried to get me in the night again. And they tried to take away my soul again. And my neck was bent beneath the strain. But I love you more than you ever know. Yes, I love you more than life itself. And they tried to take away my daily bread. But I knew they was messing with my head. And they tried to put me with the daily dead. And a crown of thorns was on my head. But I love you more than you ever know. Yes, I love you more than life itself. I've got a joy deep in my heart. I got a joy deep in my heart. I got a joy deep in my heart. What you gonna do about my joy? Tell me.
Great people, great vision, great everything we got. I live to see
No more waiting, no sense of we want to go back to our fatherland. Jife mwata wonyakano akagelo ye akaloze ye owotwa kanana nkanye bunkanyu ife mu nkanye bunkanyo ifanyi bifanyi. We keep in peace, we're fighting war. We want a better place for my people. We keep in peace, we're fighting war. We want a better place for my people. Biafra, 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 nothing we go do, we go stop we chalibi. Nothing that we protesting for. Biafra, we want to go on our own. Biafra, we stand. Yo, nkanye bunkanyu, ife mu nkanye bunkanyo, ifanyi bifanyi. We keep in peace, we're fighting war. We want a better place for my people, better place for my people. Biafra, 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 now so I wake up one day to hear them sing, say Nigerian jaga jaga, everything's bad and scatter. Now I get the meaning. UK fine, na person make 'em fine. US fine, na person make 'em fine. Nkanye bunkanyu, ife mu nkanye bunkanyo, ifanyi bifanyi. We keep in peace, we're fighting war. We want a better place for my people. We keep in peace, we're fighting war. We want a better place for my people. Biafra, 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 Aye, my people, one love, great people, great vision, great everything we got. I live to see great Biafra. And you on the beat, we keep in peace, we're fighting war. We want a better place for my people. We keep in peace, we're
Welcome to African Affairs, an ECTV program on Africa in Washington, D.C., United States of America. Today, we are honored with the presence of His Excellency Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. He is our special guest tonight. Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu was the former military governor of the Eastern Group of Provinces, which we call Eastern Region. Now, these Eastern Group of Provinces, or what you call Eastern Region, have been divided into these states: Anambra, Ebonyi, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Bayelsa, Imo, Abia, and Cross River states. His Excellency later became the head of state of the Independent Republic of Biafra. Now he has been duly coronated as Eze-Igbo, the paramount leader of Igbo land, that is, of all Igbo districts in Nigeria. He graduated from Epsom College and from Oxford University in England with master's degree in history. Your Excellency, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm particularly happy to be with you this evening.
Thank you. Since we are going to ask, I'm going to ask you. Number one, a lot have been written about the 15th of January 1966 coup. The most erroneous being that it was an Igbo coup, which gave the Hausas or the northern Muslims the pretext to attack the Igbos. Please enlighten the world on events of the January 15, 1966 coup. Who carried out the coup and for what reasons?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to try and enlighten people on this coup that seems to be at the center of subsequent problems in Nigeria. The coup of January 15th, 1966 was actually led by Major Ifajuna, and he commanded the activities in the south, and Zogo, another major, coordinated the northern side of it from Kaduna. The reason for the coup, if you remember, Nigeria became independent in 1960. We had a government, a quasi-Westminster type government with a parliament and a ceremonial president, reflecting, as it were, the Queen of Great Britain. That was Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Tafawa Balewa was the president from the north. Now, the real problem with Nigeria has always been the imbalance of the federation that is and was known as Nigeria. I remember when I was at school, I was taught that the great thing about a federation was that no federating unit should ever be preponderant over the others. As it happened, the Nigerian Federation, when it was created, was given down to Nigerians from London. And that federation contained the imbalance of the North being preponderant, in fact, over the two other sides, the West and the East. And this created, right from the first day, a certain degree of friction. The North could dictate, and the South, whichever part of the South, could just complain if it's not in accord with what the North wished. The first few years of independence were not too bad, but there were a lot of unfulfilled ambitions of the Nigerians, because in those days we thought that once you got independence, you were free and everything worked, and you joined the higher league of nations internationally, discussing what went on. In fact, to Nigerians it looked as though, and indeed they tended to show, that independence in itself was the achievement. Now Nigeria was free, us were a member of the world. Instead of looking upon it as the beginning of our journey to nationhood. And I say this, and I want to underscore it. Nigeria was not, has never been a nation. We had the aspiration, hopes that Nigeria one day would become a nation. And that has been elusive up till today. The reason being that, most unfortunately, the powers in Nigeria were concentrated in the hands of the North, which was preponderant, and wrongly so. At independence, we hoped we would be able, in fact, the three leaders of the country had different notions of independence. There was the actual leader of the struggle for independence, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who rightly thought that independence now created, as it were, a beginning, but that we were already a nation and we were now finding our positions in his own philosophical, political beliefs in Pan-Africanism. So we just had to move into the broad continental alliance. The North, under the Sultanate of Sokoto, whose agent was the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, felt that the Nigerian nation one had to tread very slowly, because he saw and they saw a great deal of inequities in Nigeria, and perhaps the most important then was the level of education between the North and the South. And therefore that affected, of course, the position of the North, or Northerners, in the bureaucracy of Nigeria. The Sardana and the people of the North got down to trying to build up the North, taking everything they could from the Federation to build up the North to a position in their minds of equality between themselves intellectually and the rest of Nigeria. The West, under Chief Obafemi Awolowo, thought likewise and took the position of consolidating the West so as to ensure that at a given time the West would then emerge superior to either the North or the East. Again, let me go back to the problem of the East. The East entered independence having accepted that the nation was already there. Naturally, the concept of nationhood implied a great deal of sacrifice by the East at all points. First sacrifice, the non-emergence of Dr. Azikiwe as the first executive leader of Nigeria. He vacated the place. He made the sacrifice so that the North could be accommodated. Second, very simple. During the constitutional conferences, independence was offered Nigeria before 1960. But to be able to accommodate the North, that Dr. Azikiwe believed was already part of a nation, we got this rather odd situation where a nationalist refused independence to wait for the North, and so on. Yet, your question, sir, was the question of the reason for the coup. So let me go into it. The teething problems of Nigeria after 1960, the independence, manifested itself in a number of ways. There was a friction over the preponderance of the North. There was certain difficulties about religious beliefs in the country. There was corruption, bad administration, and so on. But the real problem came from the West, which by 1966 was really in turmoil. And the reason was quite a simple one. Where does a leader lead from? In the North, the Sadana led from Kaduna, in the North. His agent was in the South, Prime Minister. Awolowo for the West believed his position was better and he would be have greater effect on Nigeria if he ruled from the Federation. So he looked towards Lagos. And his deputy, Akintola, he was quite prepared to leave the West too. But a funny thing happened during the election. A funny thing happened. Dr. Azikiwe, who also opted for the Federation, won the election in the West. And it now looked as though an Igbo man was ruling in the East, ruling in the Midwest, and about to rule in the West. And this was not acceptable to the West. We started our problems there because overnight the victory of the NCNC in the West was nullified by a number of Yorubas crossing from the government to the opposition side and creating a new government. And this actually is at the foundation of the distrust between the Igbos still now and the Yorubas. Law and order broke down in the West after the second election. There was so much rigging. In fact, BBC had this rather wonderful statement. It said that men became pregnant overnight with votes. Because, you know, where there's huge robes and you can stuff as many ballot papers inside them. And as a result of that, and because by then Awolowo was in jail for treasonable felony, it was felt that the North used its powers to ensure that Akintola, who became their stooge, won the election. It became very dangerous to travel around the streets of Lagos or the West, anywhere. That's when they started throwing acid at people in the streets, in your car, the phenomenon known as wet year. That is wet in wet year. Throwing acid on people. And it was to halt this, actually, that the military was pulled out of barracks to help stabilize the situation. And this went on. We were not moving anywhere. The countries were becoming independent. We were seeing Julius Nyerere creating personality in Africa, Nkrumah there, and so on. Nigeria is big, and with all the promise of independence, was clearly doing nothing. It was then that a group of young officers. Now let's get it straight. The young officers had within Igbos, Yorubas, and Hausas. The way the Nigerian army was structured, you could not escape a preponderance of Igbo officers. And these were at the middle level because they were essentially majors. By then I was a lieutenant colonel, so I wasn't part of it. I was then commanding a battalion in Kano. The coup ostensibly, because I later found out that the whole aim of the coup was to halt this apparent drift in Nigeria. But significantly, you know what they wanted to do? To create a presidential commission of army officers as a safeguard to the people who would guard the nation and hand over government to Chief Obafemi Awolowo. The idea was to release him from prison, make him prime minister, and in the hope that Nigeria would become a better place. That is actually how.
So it was really the Yorubas and their leader that were going to benefit.
Oh, absolutely.
From the coup, not the insinuation that it was an Igbo coup.
No, certainly not.
Okay.
Certainly.
Your Excellency, we have
And not only that, and I think because a lot of things have been said about this. Yes. Who actually halted the coup? Aguiyi Ironsi in Lagos, an Igbo. Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu in Kano, an Igbo. The Igbos halted the coup. How can it be at the same time an Igbo coup halted by Igbos? There's something odd about that.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The next question is, on May 29th, July 29th, September 29th, 1966, genocide was committed against the Igbos. Will you let the world, through this medium, know the extent of this genocide? We know you established the Onyuke Commission that looked into these genocidal acts. What were his findings, some of them that you can let the world know?
Well, that's no doubt. I mean, the findings, the report.
Okay, the report.
The report is available, can be bought by anyone. It's been circulated all over Nigeria. It's not hidden. The first massacre of Igbos in the north, we could, in that report, it was stated that the first coup was 50,000. Then, later in the same year, the universal massacre that took place across the whole of Nigeria, including the north and parts of the west, we're talking in terms of 700,000 killed. So if it's figures we're looking into, certainly they were very heavy. But when we're talking of genocide, it's intent that really matters. What was the aim of that? And it was very simple, and the language might make people shudder or remember. It was to impose the final solution to the Igbo problem in Nigeria. That is, when there are no more Igbos in Nigeria, then there will be no problem. I think if one thinks back, sometime you will know who used that term, referring to who.
Was the element of religion involved?
There are three areas that came together. There was certainly the ethnic one. There was at the same time the political one side. And when I say political, that is the search for power in the federation, and certainly the third was religious. The North used Islam. Almost the same sort of thing that we're witnessing in Europe today might you take this opportunity to state very clearly the solidarity of Ndibo, that is the Igbo people, with the United States government in the events of September 11th. Naturally, we feel with America, and I am personally proud of our solidarity. All we say is this is an extension of that for which we have suffered, are suffering, and will continue to suffer if the world does not come to our aid. We pray that somehow the United States gets out of this. We are sure anyway that she will vanquish the enemy. But I would like her also to remember that in her pain, we showed solidarity.
Yeah, that's AZ was speaking on behalf of all Igbos everywhere. The sympathy is with the United States because of the events of September 11, 2001. The final question, we have about 2 minutes, Your Excellency. When the Igbos, through the Consultative Assembly, mandated you to declare the Igbo land the sovereign and independent state of Biafra, Nigeria declared war on the young republic. Why would we call this war the war of genocide? The world would like to know again through this medium why the war was called war of genocide against the Igbos.
The word genocide is so large in its meaning that even when you're staring it in the face, very often you hesitate about using the term. But actually the Biafran problem was nothing except being genocidal. There was no distinction. The mere fact that you were an Easterner in those days labeled you fit only for one thing, death, and death at the hands of the Nigerian authorities. The Igbos and their associates were killed in practically every village in northern Nigeria. They were killed in many places in western Nigeria. They were in Lagos, even on Kata Bridge, the very center of Lagos. People were looked at and thought, oh, this looked an Igbo, and killed. The very first army officer killed in Lagos, actually, during that time was from Calabar, was killed on the bridge, and so on. Igbos were being hunted out and killed. The Igbos that remained in Lagos after the war began were herded together and detained without any trial or anything, no question of any legal rights. Till today, property of Igbos are still sequestered in various areas of Nigeria, and they have not been released, not all of them, to the Igbos, the original owners. Oh no, we're quite certain. In fact, the only reason it is not called or not accepted as genocidal is because of the Cold War. At that time, anything ethnic-based was almost like an insult to humanity. And ethnicity became a term of abuse in politics, that's all. If it were today, certainly, what happened in Nigeria is much, much worse than what you have seen of Rwanda, not to talk about Eastern Europe.
Your Excellency, we have come to the end of the program. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the enlightenment. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching African Affairs, a DCTV program on Africa in Washington, D.C., United States of America. Our guest today is His Excellency Ezigbo, General Chukwemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, we thank you for being in our program. It's an honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now you can relax and watch African music video. Thank you again for watching.
Biafra, my Biafra, my Biafra. God bless you, my Biafra.